Yesterday, I got a message from a Facebook friend named Cheryl. And Cheryl wrote, "I would like to know your thoughts on home. I actually could not sleep and was wondering how you deal with loss of home. You know, the place of memories, the grandmother's home, cousins, uncles, aunts, sisters, and brothers, the place that holds your heart. How do you deal with the loss of this?" I'm sorry, Cheryl, that you feel this way, and I totally get where you are coming from. So today, I want to talk about home and belonging. For most of us, we live in this world and look at our life from a small human perspective. I, as a small human being, I have wants and desires, among which I want company, I want a sense of belonging. I want home, which is some kind of solid foundation where I feel safe. This perspective is totally valid, totally human. But I think for most of us, what we also find is this sense of belonging is quite elusive. Take myself, for example. I never felt quite belong in this world. Ever since I was little, I felt very different than everybody else around me. There is always this sense of tension between me and the world, which mostly involved I try to fit into the world. I somehow try to get a kind of comfort in a world that otherwise feels very alien to me. And I know this is actually the experience of many people. And especially if you are the sensitive kind like me, that may be your experience as well. We as light beings, we come into this three-dimensional world of very dense matters. Sometimes that transition can be very traumatic and hard to adjust to. Even if no major trauma happens to you in the physical sense, even if nothing major happens in your life, still there can be a sense of heaviness just associated with existence itself. And sometimes that heaviness can be literally unbearable. And then the question is, what do you do about it? And one choice is to end it. You can say, "Whoa, this is too much to bear. I didn't sign up for this. I'm out of here and see you later." And that is a totally legitimate choice. I myself always had one suicidal thought or another ever since I was a little girl and well into my early 20s. But somehow that wasn't the choice I made. And that wasn't the choice of most people, because I think even though we don't always know it consciously, deep down we know that we come here for a very good reason. But then still, if we choose to stay, we will somehow have to come up with some way to cope with this reality and cope with the sense of alienation and heaviness and trauma. So what do we do? Most of us say, "Okay, I don't feel like it's home here, so I'm going to build myself a home." So we forge connections with people, we find loved ones, we find small pleasures out of life, we find hobbies, entertainment, and work we feel we can devote ourselves to. And this approach works really great for most people. That's what human life is about, right? The relationships, the connections, the work and callings. We build a self-identity out of these things, and it's absolutely beautiful. So for most people, we find enough stuff in our life to hang on to soothe this underlying, what I call original pain, the pain that's inherent in this earthly existence. But notice, under this beautiful model of living, there is an underlying energy of fear and avoidance. I'm afraid to be isolated and alone. I want to avoid the feeling of loss. And when I'm lost, I want to be found. But still, this model is totally beautiful as long as it works. But at some point, for some people, it stops working. Some loved one leaves us. Some unforeseen external forces separate us from the things and people that we love. For anybody who's experienced any major loss in his or her life, you know that it's not a walk in the park. And there may come a point when you feel so much suffering and confusion, and you ask yourself, I'm so lost. I don't know how to go on. Where is home? Where can I go? So if I may, I want to suggest this to you. I want to suggest that if you are asking these questions, if you are having these feelings, perhaps it's your soul's way of telling you, okay, you've done enough of human experience. Now let's try another mode of living. This is just a suggestion. You yourself will know whether it fits you or not. I want to propose to you another model of existence. A kind of existence where you say, I don't belong here. It's true, I don't. This time and space is only an extension of who I am. It's not who I am. My existence is grounded in the nothingness that created everything. Because underlying all the phenomena of existence, there is a ground, a non-existence, where light, consciousness, love, flowers, oceans, stars, trees are generated. And that groundless ground is my home. That's where I dwell. Sometimes we hear stories of magical transformations of people. The drug addict turned motivational speaker. The domestic abuse victim turned successful entrepreneur. When you ask those people, what happened? What made you change? What you often hear is they say, oh, I hit the rock bottom. I've got nothing to lose anymore. That's when I know I have to change. In these stories, sometimes the heroes themselves may not consciously realize is that when they say they hit the rock bottom, they actually hit the ground of existence, which is emptiness, which is nothing. They are deprived of the various attachments, various shiny objects of life enough that they get in touch with the ultimate reality, which is nothingness. When they get in touch enough with the void, which is actually the true creative force of life, that allows magic to happen, that allows real strength and power to emerge in their life. You don't have to be forced by life into a rock bottom, because the nothingness is the floorboard of existence. It's nowhere and everywhere. It's where your every cell gets generated. It's where your every thought comes from. It is in you. At home is in you already. And from that place of emptiness, love also gets generated. That's why you are really an endless fountain of love. And when your human self is in pain, when your human self is lost and angry and frightened, you send a love from a place of deep groundedness. You say, I know you're scared. It's okay. I love you and I will always be here for you. The more you are in touch with that groundless ground, that empty non-space, the more you can show up for yourself and for other people. That's when real magic happens.